When people say your salary is a bribe given to you to forget your dreams, what do you think about that?
That's bullshit to me. How does it even look like when somebody who owns a company and has staff working for you? I mean, I don't know how they think. You have members of staff working for you, right? They follow you to events where you speak.
And you say,
You say shit about them. Are you really okay? No matter what you pay someone can never, for me, equate to the person's feelings.
Yeah, I agree.
That's my thinking. For me, money is an appreciation for what an individual is even bringing in terms of functionality, essence, capacity, effectiveness, productivity. It's like, thank you. And then somebody also described a job as just over broke. And by the time I left paid employment, one of my painful experiences was that the clients that I was working with at the time that I was about exiting, all of a sudden they didn't want to work with me anymore. From 1 to 2 to 3, they were just canceling their deals with me. I made my first million. I remember it was when I did an offer called the 1K bumper offer. I was on my way to Lagos in a bus, and I just had this in my head, boom, why don't you do something called 1K and pack in a lot of benefits in it? I just put it on my status, my WhatsApp status at the time. Before I landed Lagos from Port Harcourt, I had done like 100K just by putting on status alone. Income follows assets. And now I amplified it, without flyer. I was just updating my status from Port Harcourt to Lagos in less than like 4 days or so. I had done 970 something thousand. So by the 5th day, he had crossed 1 million.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Entrepreneurs Connect show. As always, what we do here is sit and talk with African entrepreneurs who are building businesses. We want to know, what have they built? What have they learned along the way? Where have they failed? Where have they succeeded? And what can we take home to implement in our life and businesses? As always, once again, we have another amazing guest in the house, making the second appearance on the show. His first appearance here was 2 years ago, and now we have the rare privilege of having him on the show again. Without further ado, without wasting much of your time, let's welcome to the show, Mr. Emeka Nobis.
So that was 2 years ago.
That was 2 years ago, 2023. This is 2025 now.
It's been a long time.
Now, obviously, we have a different set. None of that. The Lord is good.
Yes,
up Jesus. Beautiful. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Once again, boss, how are you doing?
I'm okay.
Hope good. In the next few minutes, I want to attempt to dig deep into your wealth of knowledge, of life, business, and everything, Emeka Nobis.
Yeah.
So how have things been lately?
It's always a mix of good and bad, but we are silly, as we can say, fight battles almost every day. Personal battles, emotional battles, physical sometimes. But then that's what life brings. And so we keep learning lessons and riding and pushing ahead. The key thing is to keep your eyes in the front and keep pushing through.
How are you coping in Nigeria as it is today?
Brother, you all know that everybody knows that doing business in Nigeria is not beans. The rising cost of things, data, as you know now, data has increased. What can we do? We can't run away at the moment it starts. So my own situation, the way I deal with things basically is always to say, okay, there has to be a way to deal with this. Even if it's not so palatable at the time, but then there's a way to deal with it. If you're having issues with power and you are used to using AC, a way to deal with reducing the cost is
gonna buy fan, right?
That's the solution, isn't it? Like today in the office, members of staff are using AC. Me, I put my own off. It's a way to reduce the consumption. So I think there's always a way to deal with these issues. They may not be palatable, but we keep fighting them.
Crazy.
But then just have to. The only alternative is to give up and go and sleep at home now, isn't it?
Even when you go and sleep at home,
you still see the kids walking and say, Daddy, something has to happen today. So you just have to. Just what it is, basically.
Do you think it's, better to face challenges when you're single than when you're married?
It's a very tricky question to really answer. But, they say two heads are better than one, isn't it? And basically, if you get married to someone who is understandable, someone who is reasonable, can help you to also fight the battles better.
Yeah.
Not someone who will heap emotional trouble the more. Like you're trying to deal with money issues and then the person is throwing tantrums all over the place, instead of sitting down and saying, okay, we're going through a phase.
Yeah.
This is how we can deal. This is where we can do this. This is where we can cut down certain luxuries, so that we can pass through this phase and then continue our lives. So I think that's just one advantage I'm getting, so to say, being married, that I can talk to someone about what I'm dealing with. Someone is emotionally connected to me, and she can say, okay, we can ride through this. We can. And then also in terms of support, I mean, last year after conversations with Dawn, I went into a deep. It's not something that I usually share online. I went into a deep. So between, say, September till December, it was my wife supporting me with her business. I mean, it's not as if she was giving me all the money, but she was supporting me. And I said to her, for every expenditure you're making, write it down, because I'm going to pay you back. And then by February, I paid her back, right? For every dime that she brought from her business to deal with certain issues at home. So I think that's the advantage I can say that I can get. And then you're getting home at night, there's somebody there to receive you back when you get back. Not like when you get back as a single, there's nobody welcoming it, except if you have a dog or a pussycat. But then I think that's the advantage I can say for me.
Beautiful. We'll talk about conversations with Don in a bit, but let's say there's a young single entrepreneur watching this, planning to get married. As somebody who has been in the upper echelon of marriage with 3 kids to show for it, what would your counsel be to that person?
I can only tell you to live your life according to the level you are per time. There's a lot of comparison now. There's a lot of, with the recent movie that has come out, a lot of individuals are putting themselves under a lot of pressure. But it's to have conversation with the one that you are in a relationship with. That's what I can really tell you. Have that conversation. This is a time for you to be meaningful in your conversations and not just to do any kind of conversation. You're about to enter into a new life, because that new life comes with its own responsibilities, its own expectations and demands.
Yeah.
By the time the kids start coming, the other day, I wanted to eat what we call tapioca, apacha, in our local language. And when I was buying it, the last time I bought it, the kids didn't like it. So this time I was buying it, I felt like, okay, I'm still going to eat it again by myself. And then I bought 1,500 naira worth, only for me to get back home, washed it. These 3 kids ran out and dipped their fingers into the thing and they reduced my ration. And I was like, the last time you guys didn't like it, he said, Daddy, that was then. Bitch, now, they like it now. And then bitch. So you see a lot of it. That's funny, but that's comical. But there's a lot of it. You're no longer thinking for yourself alone. Like before, it could be just you and you, but now you have mouths to feed, school fees to pay, a whole lot. So it's about you having those conversations with your partner and saying that this is our life, this is where our phase is right now. What should we do with what we have right now as we look into the future and to build the future together? So if you don't have all the money to pull off something that's lavish, do what you can per time. People are doing their weddings now on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
You go to church, they do their stuff and they go home, they're married. So people are doing stuff not normally on Saturdays anymore, on Thursdays. My brother did his wedding. People went to church, and as the mass was ended, they handed packs over to people. And from there, go home. It was in the evening that just his friends and family members came together. I don't think we're even up to 30. Went to somewhere, and they had the reception evening. And the expenditure was less. So you just have to have those conversations. I'm not saying that this is about you living the peasant life. No, we're saying everybody has a phase.
Yeah.
We're always living from phase to phase. So whatever phase that you are, be truthful to yourself that this is where I am at this moment. What can I do with the resources I have and still be able to live a meaningful life? That's the only piece of advice. If you want to take it, it's fine. But then consequences always follow our action. So whenever you take that action, expect the consequence to come. May not be dastardly, may not be as painful, but there are still consequences. And sometimes some of these consequences are very painful.
You're talking about weddings. Do you think it's wise to borrow?
I don't think it's wise to borrow. I'll give you my own experience, examples. So when I was about to settle down, that was in 2009.
Yeah.
So I went to my cousin, and this woman has money. Really, she has money. She used to work for, I think Jimmy at the time or Accenture. I can't remember either of these 2 companies. I can't remember right now, but she was country director. She had money, And so I went to her to tell her about my wedding. It's a cousin now. She looked at me and said, I don't give money to people to do weddings. We were to do the wedding in 2009. I think I approached her in 2008 towards the end. The wedding was supposed to be in May. I think I approached her 2008 or so. And she said to me, the level where you are right now, go and do it. Don't borrow. Don't do anything. I was paying though, really. I won't lie. Like, this is my cousin. Why can't you give the money? It's an expectation now that when you're doing wedding, people are supposed to give you something, contribute and all that stuff. So I went back home, took it, but unfortunately we had an accident in May, that same May, 2 weeks before the wedding. And then the wedding was postponed by 1 year. So by 2010, when I was ready again in November to do the wedding, told my wife, no committee, no whatever, nothing. We were going to do the wedding based on what we had at the time. And we pulled off that wedding. There was no debts, nothing. Even after the wedding, I wasn't owing anybody. I was able to pay the vendors and all that. No debt, no single debt anywhere.
Nice.
So I don't advise that. This is my personal opinion. I don't advise that. Just what it is.
Nice. So, you used to work in an oil servicing company before the whole Emeka Nobis brand began. What was that transition like? Were you already married when you decided to resign your job and all of that?
I was married. That was 2016. I was already married 2010. So I resigned in 2016. So I was married at the time. So, but the transition thing is that this was what worked for me. I had to plan my transition and plan my exit.
Okay.
So I needed to understand, okay, this thing that you're going to do now, how will you succeed in it? What will make you successful? What will make you famous? What will make you known? So I sought out individuals who are already on the journey. People like Steve Harris, Fela Durotoye, Bankole Williams, and Ofo, and quite a lot of other ones. And so I left Port Harcourt and I was going to visit them one after the other. I was opportune to meet Fela Durotoye when he hosted a class, a public speaking master class, and I paid. I even borrowed money from my boss at the time, and I went. That was how I connected to Fela. And so I was learning, and at the same time executing the things that will make me have stability by the time I left the job. And part of the things they told me about the time was, get yourself known, put yourself out there. The more, do classes, speak at events. And I was doing all those things. It was Victor Bobasu that now said to me, income follows assets. Said, Emeka, income follows assets. Think of how to create as many assets as possible before you resign so that those assets can get you money. And of course, assets are products, digital products, and anything that can bring in inflow, whether it's physical or not physical. So I took that piece of advice and then I focused on creating those assets. I think 3 years even before I eventually exited. So I did all those things before I eventually exited. And I was married. And by the time I resigned 2016, that same year I had my third child. And so you could imagine, but then I was really prepared for that particular phase. And the thing about me and childbirth was the fact that every of the kid that we had, I'd already put up money right from the time of inception. As soon as the results come out, you're pregnant. You start putting money gradually every month. But guess what? I always factor in certain things. There could be something that could just happen. So what I did was to double the money. So if the entire thing, money that was needed for the pregnancy would be, let's say, 1,000 naira, for example, I would put in 2,000 naira. But my third child surprised me because she had some complications that we didn't really bargain for. And so she stayed in the hospital for more than expected. And that really, the amount of money that I kept, wasn't that so enough to be able to deal with that situation. So I had to reach out to a few people, not because I wasn't prepared. There's a difference between you didn't really prepare. You were just hoping on God. And then when the time comes, start running all over the place, asking your friends to borrow it, to lend you money. But then it wasn't of my making. I had doubled the money, but then because of that particular peculiar medical condition at the time, I had to dip in, my hands into finances that I needed to do my business. And so I reached out to a few of my guys, just 3 of them. My best friend in Canada, I reached out to him. Then I reached out to the man that I was working with at the time, Linus Okorie. I don't know if you know him. So Linus was able to send me some money. Then my friend also sent me money, and was able to deal with all those bills at the time. But that's the strategy I've always utilized, to be able to put up money. And at that time it happened, And I said, okay, I think it's better to even triple it. Instead of to do double, we'll do triple. So this could be a piece of advice for someone out there who's listening to us.
I noticed that you do this for virtually a lot of things, not just like, well, you know, we're together once and I saw you putting money together. I was in one of these savings apps. So yeah, I saw the tagline was burial.
Yes.
And I asked you, burial. Why are you putting money together for burial?
That one is even because that was the advice that my personal finance coach, she would tell you to put up money for most virtually everything. Health, burial. I mean, you know where we live, where we come from. Burial is something, even though I keep kicking against tradition, but then it doesn't take only me to fight. So before I can win that fight, who knows? So she said, I mean, how much would it cost for a burial where you come from? At that time it was 3 million, but I know now it has increased. So she said, you have to set out those things. Burial, insurance, a whole lot. So, I mean, my life has been, even I know some of my friends don't really like the fact that says Emeka, you're not a person of faith, because there are certain things you have to just fit out. Do you get, don't always want to do everything by the books. But I think that's, and then looking at my engineering background too, I mean, this planning have to be there, basically. So it's just what it is for me.
Awesome. So you have your third child.
Yeah.
And then this is the period where you're transitioning from working in an oil servicing company to running your own business, your consulting business and all of that. What was this phase like?
It's a combination of a lot of things, a lot of experiences. The fact that by the time I left paid employment, one of my painful experiences was that the clients that I was working with at the time that I was about exiting, all of a sudden they didn't want to work with me anymore. From 1 to 2 to 3, they were just canceling their deals with me. It was funny. I didn't really understand it. Then I went to a deep at the time financially again. Then I had to reassess myself to understand what kind of services should I be rendering, and I came up with the kind of things I needed to start doing. And that was how I said, okay, I mean, to hell with this. Then I rejected some of the things I was doing, and that was how I came back again. So it was just a mix of a lot of things, trying to understand myself, trying to understand the new path that I was on, the expectations that were on me, how to increase income, and all that, how to even now. One of the things that I used to do at the time was, or one of the things I did at the time was to curtail certain luxuries. All right. I mean, having worked in an oil servicing company, your salaries were coming in every month consistently. So I had to cut certain things, DSTV, certain luxuries, basically, and just started adjusting. Then after a while, things started picking up back again, because I resigned at the time that the company where I was working is not like oil companies where you resign and then they have all the millions. They just give you all the millions. They usually prorated our payments. So instead of when you resign or when you retire, they give you plenty millions. You get those monies almost every year and at December. And so I had collected, I think my salary that December was about 3 million or so, or 2.5. I can't remember exactly. And then I now resigned in March, right? So I was given 660,000 naira. So I was supposed to actually quit my job in July. That was the plan. But then a new boss was brought in. The former boss I had was quite very supportive to my let me say my journey. He already knew that I was building a personal brand. I was doing my job actually, but I mean, during the weekends, I would go to speak at events. I was writing books. So he was supportive in the sense that some Saturdays he would give me some, leverage or some break. And I was quite very, very hardworking. Like, I mean, working after work hours wasn't a thing to me. Sometimes I'll stay back in the office till like 8 p.m. Meanwhile, other people had left by 5 p.m. So some of those sacrifices made him to be quite supportive of my own journey. And so the new boss that came in didn't even give me the chance to like bond like that. He was just good at giving instructions and giving responsibilities and just directing. So he gave me a task to do. Brother, I went back to my table, sat down, analyzed the task. That task will make me bow my head like every day, literally every day, from morning till evening for about 4 weeks. I looked at the task, I was like, I didn't know I didn't know I was going to really do that. And then I had been pulled out from site. I was on site. I mean, on site gave me the opportunity to work with people on site, have my own team, direct, monitor and supervise. So it gave me a lot of leverage. So, but being in the office, all those things were stripped away. I had to just focus and do that job. So I did it for like a week. It was backbreaking, and there was a lot of pressure, you know. So after that 1 week, I said to myself, my brother, I don't think I'll be able to continue doing that. And so I went to my colleagues in the office and I told them I was resigning. I printed the resignation, I rewrote it and kept it on my system, and then I submitted it. And that was how. After 3 weeks, I moved on. So within 3 weeks I was there, I was now teaching the guy that was my second to take over my job. So I was teaching him, and then after 3 weeks, I left. So that was how the whole thing went. It wasn't even funny. You know, my boss didn't really find it funny. But the thing is that over there in the company, and I wouldn't know why I was like that though. I don't operate like that. I mean, I like leaders to be open to the fact that their members of staff have personal goals that they're dealing with, and how can they accommodate those personal goals, right? How can they accommodate those personal goals? Because the company is a place where they are using as a vehicle to accomplish their own personal goals. So I like to have those conversations with people who are working with me, no matter how painful it is. That's what it is. Because, I mean, we should be having those painful conversations and seeing how we can, you know. But the company wasn't really like that. And I think the leaders in the company were not really trained like that, or there was nobody to make them think like that way. I mean, you know, Italians now, and the way we think that they are mafias, you know, just do stuff. So people found it difficult to open up to the bosses what they were going through. You find people who are sick, they wouldn't open up to say they are sick until the thing just hits them, and then find them, and then they wouldn't want to stay home. They just go and stay in the company hospital.
Yeah.
So opening up to the boss to tell him, see what I was going. It was just two of them in the company at the time that I had access to share with me what I was going through at the time, you know. And so I couldn't open up to that particular one. So when he heard that I had resigned, my brother, he heard from the HR that I resigned.
Yeah.
On a Thursday. On a Friday, HR said to me there was no need for me coming to work on the Saturday to rake in extra man hours. I should stay home. So on Saturday, I was home. It was on that Saturday while I was home that I heard that he had gone into the office, took away my laptop, took away the system the company gave me, everything on my table, just packed them to his office. You know, it wasn't a very, very, you know, nice thing to do, but I think he did it in anger. Looking back now, he did it in anger. He felt betrayed. He felt like a loss of power, you know. But then I got back to the office on Monday. He was still angry. Spoke to him. He didn't respond to me. So I went back to my office, went to report to the HR what was the situation, and just stayed in my office. After 3 days, he called me. Went there, took the laptops back to the office. And so I stayed 3 weeks before I now finally left. And I still have a cordial relationship. The guy is no longer there now. I'm even planning to visit them. You know, I still have very cordial relationship with my guys who are still there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Even with the security and, you know, the values of the HR and all that.
So just before we leave this, your workplace phase, when people say your salary is a bribe given to you to forget your dreams, what do you think about that?
That's bullshit to me. If you followed me for a while, you find out that I don't dig into this shit that people out there, you know, saying all sorts of funny stuff about employees. And I mean, how does it even look like when somebody who owns a company and has staff working for you? I mean, I don't know how they think. You have members of staff working for you, right? And then they follow you to events where you speak.
And you say,
and you say you say shit about them. How do you expect them to are you really okay? Bribe is what? This, that. You would never see me open my mouth to tell none of the people I've ever worked with, no member of staff has ever heard me say this money I'm paying you a salary. It would never come out of my mouth because I don't weigh people by that money.
Yeah.
No matter what even you pay someone can never, for me, equate to the person's full essence.
Yeah, I agree.
That's my thinking. Even oil companies, whatever you are paying, even if you're paying someone 1 million naira per day, can't. I mean, do you know who a human being is? Do you know who we are? Like the power that we have, the thing that's inside here. Then you're saying money to equate to someone's essence. No, it's an appreciation. For me, money is an appreciation for what an individual is even bringing in terms of functionality, essence, capacity, effectiveness, productivity. It's like, thank you. Why will somebody now say what you're paying to staff is bribe to what? To burn their dreams? I don't know how they think when they say these things. And then somebody will also describe a job as just over broke.
Now, this is the first time I hear something like this. I seriously, J-O-B, just over broke.
Oh, you've not heard that one?
I've not heard.
Check, now it's then.
Are you serious?
It's funny. But
So everybody eventually starts businesses. Who do they employ?
I don't know. So when they say these things, I don't understand now what's going through their heads. It's crazy, really.
It's probably to inspire people to quit their jobs.
And I mean, even if they succeed, even if they quit their jobs, right? You'll never find me telling individuals to quit their jobs. That's not me. You can still build while you have a job. You can still be really stupendously rich while you have a job. That's the truth. Okay, look at all this. Okay, sometimes you don't even use the word rich. You can use the word wealthy. Look at salaries of some of the CEOs like Guinness and Dangote and all. These guys can be very wealthy with what they are being paid. And because my understanding of wealth, when I started reading about wealth and following people like Etios or Morigi about wealth, is when you make money, you take that money and put it into companies that are vested in the productive economy. They take that money and they do something with your money, and then they are paying you dividends and stock options and all that. That's how you build wealth, isn't it? That's when the people say money is working for you. So if you become part of the class or part of the group where we are, you find out there are so many employees there. My dear, if you see their wealth portfolio, you go shock. These are people who started paying 10,000 naira every month to invest in economies that are in the real sector. Now, if you see what they are paying every month, so they are getting their dividends and they are investing back to build their wealth portfolio. Some of them are doing 1 million, some of them are doing 10 million a month, but they started out 10,000, some of them 5,000 naira. So it's like it has become a habit. It's now part of you to know that whatever I'm earning, I have to take out something to be able to invest in the real economy to build my wealth portfolio. Many of them, they are employees. I can tell you for a fact. Only a few handful of us in that group are people who are running their own businesses. The rest are employees. So when people say these things, I don't understand how they think when they make such utterances. I mean, you've not heard about Justable.
I just there's an epiphany. There's eureka moments.
Google it. You see, can't them say such thing.
So what should an employee do? Somebody that is looking to maybe start a business or something, and then you don't want to necessarily how do I frame it very well now? You don't want to quit your job, but you want to build a business. So what would you advise people that are hearing things like that? They want to build businesses and they're tempted to quit because they heard somebody say your job is the bribe giving you to you're just over broke and all of that. How do they navigate?
I just say that this is first and foremost, all those ideologies are just, I don't know who came up with those very defeatist ideologies. That's the way I can put it. But I remember I've said here that our members of staff, they also have their own personal dreams. They want to build their own empires. They can build their own empires while within the company or when they decide to leave the company. Because trust me, I'm living with that belief that not all of them will be there in 50 years. Not all of them will be there in 10 years. Not all of them will be there in 5 years. You have to, as someone who's building a business, you have to have that within you. I can use ourselves, what we are doing in the company as example. So we work 3 times in the company, management university, right? 3 days a week. And we say Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday. We say to them Tuesday and Thursday, go and do other things. Of course, our videographers here, he does other things in the weekend to make money for himself. The other ones are there, they make money for themselves. And even within the company, we're saying, okay, this is what we're doing as a company. Why don't you guys, okay, if you are a videographer, why don't you create a course that people can buy from you, not from the company, that can give you money? You use companies' facilities and you can do it, isn't it? And you sell. Company can even help you to say, okay, our member of staff has this, and you buy. It doesn't in any way, it's not conflicting with what we are doing. Yesterday, I posted about our videographer now, tagged him, right? And people were like, oh, wow, great comments that they put in it. Somebody even came there and said, are you the one that has been putting out all these videos? Do you have a course? And he replied, he's coming up with a course. When he comes up with a course, is he not making money? Will we go and collect that money from him? No. So he is now being in the company. He's now an expression, not necessarily that we are paying him money. Do you get? Yeah. It's now an expression of his fulfillment. When he gets to the point and says, okay, I think I can build something bigger for myself. Of course, we have to, disengaging shouldn't be something that people should be, how do I put it now, spiteful about. We have a conversation. The conversation could be, okay, you're great at what you do. Is there someone else that you can find that can come and we get on board too, isn't it? You can't, even when that burning desires come, you can't cage that thing. I'm telling you.
True.
You can't cage it.
Do you get heartbroken when members of staff that are dear to you leave?
I've never gotten heartbroken. I can only say that I've gotten pain. But for each of them that has left the company, I've always blessed them from my heart. Because you don't leave a company by fighting. You shouldn't leave a company and you are burning the bridge. You're angry, No, that's why the kind of culture that we are building in the company, I said it starts from the beginning. The kind of culture we're building in the company, it makes for those conversations to happen. It's important. All right? It's important. Like, none of them left. As she said, she was going to go for youth service and she will come back. She was excited. But by the time she finished youth service, she came and she had a conversation with me and said, okay, that she wants to explore the opportunities. Fine. She has access to come to us anytime, any day. She can visit, no problem at all. So even though it can pain me, but I understand the fact that this is a journey. It's a journey. And I have to be able to be a blessing to them and thank them for the services and just free them to go and do what they want to do with them. And they will constantly be assets. If I pick up the phone now and call any of them and say, okay, look at what we're applying, they would definitely be helpful. Chioma is in Lagos. If I want to reach out and do something that has to do with media or tell her now, okay, do a video for us, she will. By all means, oblige us. Do you understand? But if we have very bad blood because she left, I wouldn't even have that audacity to want to call her to say, do this or do that for us. No. Yeah. There are times I've reached out to her, say, okay, I want you to do this post for us, do this. And she did. And it's painful actually, but then it's just what it is. If you have those conversations, that's a way of lessening the pain, and then that cordiality will still be maintained. If you're living with the intention of wanting to bind them all the time, you're caught, of course. That's what it is. Basically. So, I mean, but since I started building, I think I've had like 4 or 5 that I've left, but for every one of them leaving, there's always been a transiting phase. They come and say, boss, look at, and then they open up and share with me, and then it's okay. This is the next phase of your life. You have to get someone else to replace. Yeah. And then they even help, saying they're transiting, to call someone who can do that job. And then within a month or 2, we transit seamlessly. And that's the essence of having policy documents, code of conduct, what to do, so that when a new person comes and the individual is incorporated into the system, and then they can start up from where that person stopped.
Nice.
For me.
Nice. So you've made the bulk of your money after you resigned from your job in the oil servicing company, from what we'll call your knowledge, right? Monetizing your knowledge, making money from what you know.
Yep.
And all of that. How did this journey of selling your knowledge start? Tell us.
Whatever, as far back as, when I was in the company, when I was working there. And so, remember I told you that I had a nudge to be a blessing, but I didn't want to resign. So I kept on, I would do my work in the daytime, come back in the night, do all the content. Then I moved from doing that only at night to going to work in the morning before starting the work day. I would do content like that, And then before you know it, people started calling for me to come speak at events. And that was it. Started making money that way. Because, making money, speaking at events is part of knowledge money. Then I started producing books, and that was what I was doing at the time. Making money by producing these things.
Was your first book a success? The first book you ever produced?
The first book, no, it wasn't a success. I sold only 200 copies.
Did it cover the cost of production?
It didn't cover the cost. I gave away 800 copies of.
You gave away 800 copies
because I was angry.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I was angry. I didn't know how to do it again. I didn't know how to sell. I didn't know jack about marketing. So at that time, I just felt like produce a book people will buy. That was just what was in my head. No, nothing like pre-marketing, nothing like pre-launch, nothing. And back then, all I knew was launching. When you get a book, put people in a hall, launching. That was just what you have.
Launch chairman.
Yeah, and chairman, all those kind of things, So even though I eventually did not do proper book launch, so to say, at the time, I started selling when the book came out. It was really a very painful experience. So even the 200 copies were bought by my family members and my colleagues at work. Many of them even bought or credit, at the time. So the selling thing started at the time when I was getting those speaking engagements. And then when I launched the book, when I had that very painful experience of not being able to sell the book, I didn't write anymore. Between 2011 and 2017, I just had to deep myself into understanding marketing and what made books to sell. So that was it. I now started learning both from foreigners and Nigerians what to do to make books sell, what to do. So in learning that, I was also learning how to, a book is a knowledge product, isn't it? So I started learning how to sell courses, started learning how to sell programs. That was, the starting point for me at the time I was working.
Interesting. Do you remember when you made your first million from your knowledge?
I think I made my first million. I remember it was when I did an offer called the 1K bumper offer. I can't remember exactly that year now. I don't know if it was 2013 or 14. I can't remember now. But it was a very exciting moment for me. How did it happen? I was on my way to Lagos in a bus. So I was traveling to Lagos and I just had this in my head. Boom. Why don't you do something called 1K and packing a lot of benefits in it? I said, okay. Then I had like plenty ebooks in my system that I had bought at the time. Like, okay, why don't I package? I think it wasn't nice actually packaging other people's ebooks, not ebooks that were on being sold though. Okay. Ebooks that I had downloaded free, all those free, So I said, why don't I package all those things and put them as part of the offer, including my own books, my own ebooks. So right there in the boss, 1K bumper offer, I just put it on my status, my WhatsApp status at the time. Hey brother, if I landed Lagos from from Port Harcourt to Lagos, I had done like 100K.
Oh wow.
Just by putting on status alone. I'm like, hey, this thing worked too. So in less that, I now amplified it, did without flyer. I don't even done flyer making posts, I was just updating my status from Port Harcourt to Lagos. I said before I landed in Lagos, I had done 100K. Just status, by just updating status.
What's on your mind?
What was on my mind, I said, man, something day here. So before I just amplified it. In less than like 4 days or so, I had done 970 something thousand. So by the 5th day, it had crossed 1 million. So I think that was my very first experience.
How did it feel when you looked at it and you made 1 million from this thing?
Anyway, I'm not the kind of guy that goes to town to paint everywhere, right? But man, that was how it felt. So, like 1K. You had gotten 1K from like 1,000 people. You know what it means? That's something to celebrate. It was very amazing for me at the time. And I did that offer again. I had to relaunch it after like 3 months. And I did another 1 million again. Yeah, well, before I finally rested that off. That second time, I did about 2 million or so. before I finally rested the offer, you know. But that had given me the fact that this could sell, you know. And then there was one I did, another one. That one I did was the foundation, right? So I had done a $3 challenge, and I don't know if you remember when I did a $3 challenge, you know, $3 everyday challenge that I did. That one got me 6 million, you know, period of, I think it was a period of a week or two. I can't remember.
Oh, wow.
You know, so it was a very beautiful experience, you know, knowing the fact that people could buy something you had created. Let's use the word, or let's use out of nowhere, you know, something in your brain that you just put together and people are buying. So it was a very beautiful experience. I can't really exactly describe how I felt at those moments, but I mean, they were very heavenly moments, I can say.
So if somebody comes to you right now and Mr. Emeka Nobis, this is where I am right now. I need to make $1,000 in the next 30 days. I have this course. The course is priced at maybe $100, maybe $50. What do I need to do to go from not making, maybe I'm at maybe $200 per month, and then to make $1,000 in the next 30 days? What do I need to do?
First thing is to understand your assets, because it's not just open your mouth and say you want to make. You have to understand your assets. One of the things that helped me to make that money was because I had lots of people who viewed my status at the time. Then I was having close to 1,000 views a day on my WhatsApp status. Before that WhatsApp status finally collapsed, I was doing 3,000 views every day. So you have to check your assets. Do you have those kinds of people to reach out to? Do you have the numbers? Do you have the means to even put out your work out there? I mean, of course, if you're going to make that amount of money, you have to also promote. So do you have the money to make promotions? Do you have the money to pay influencers? So those assets have to be analyzed to see the probability. So it's not just to open your mouth and say, I want to make $1,000. Do you have people that can pay you that amount of money that will make up to that $1,000? Do you have the assets? Assets, I mean, in terms of what you need to have to be able to push that in out to individuals who will pay you that money, right? Then do you have your promotional materials and the money also to be able to push out? So when we assess those things and then we see, yeah, this is feasible, then also the product itself, it's needability, who needs it, and people willing and able to buy into this particular course, right? And then we push, and then that's how we can go from that amount to the next level.
Yes. You know, courses are like books. Like buy one time,
You don't buy again.
you don't buy again, right? How do you ensure as a knowledge entrepreneur, how do you ensure you stay making money? Because you sell this thing, people have bought it, but they're not going to buy that particular thing.
Yeah, again.
Right? How do you ensure that you stay making money? What do you do?
So you see that we are consistently seeking for new people who are going to buy. That's the thing about courses and books.
Yeah.
Right? So if somebody has bought this book, he can't be able to buy the book again. Except he wants to buy it for friends, except he wants to buy it and give away to his lovers, so to say. But within that particular product that you're selling the individual, is there a way to tie in other products that the individual has to buy? So you find out that one particular product can have babies.
Yeah.
They can have like 10 more babies that the person needs to have to be able to get certain levels of success. So pitching it can get individual to buy those other 10. But then as we're having those conversations this morning, I came to that understanding that if we have to keep getting new people to buy the products that we are selling, it's a bit too tasking. Why don't we get the same individuals who have bought from us to repeatedly buy? So at this point in time, it's a subscription-based thing to be able to say, is there something that we can create that is so functional that these individuals can keep buying? I haven't gotten there yet for myself. I can tell you, I'm not going to lie, but it's what I'm really focusing on now to think about. But then the fact that we have not exhausted the ones we're already selling is also something that we are hopeful about and we're happy about.
Yes, there are more people to
Me,
buy.
Knowledge Money University, we have not gotten up to 1,000. How many are we in Nigeria? The number that we can reach out to. How many are people here in Ghana? How many are in Morocco? How many are in South Africa? So we have not even scratched. So we are happy that we are still. I was on AIT some weeks back, and I don't know if you know Allison. The founder of Allison was there, and he said that they have been able to get 1 million subscribers. people in Nigeria.
Yeah, no, listen, yeah.
That is on their system. I'm like, amazing. Emeka, you've not even scratched. These people have gotten to 1 million. You never even reach. So we are still hopeful. That's why we have to keep pushing out our stuff, to reach out to as many individuals as ever, keep pushing. In addition to now thinking of how, if these people, when they come into the system, what can we do to keep them?
Yeah.
To keep. And one of the things one of our members of staff, Sierra, said was the fact that we know that you're using the learning management system now to be able to teach people. We can design hours, right? That when they are done with university, this is something that they can also use to be able to host their own courses.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're now dependent on us, and they will now pay us to be able to use that LMS to be able to sell their own things, which is also part of subscription base that can, but we're still thinking about it because the tech infrastructure required for this kind of thing is something that we have to really manage. If not, it can blow up in our faces. So, yeah.
Nice. So, one thing I've noticed over the years among knowledge entrepreneurs, especially upcoming people, is that they don't know how to handle finances. So, for example, I sell this product, maybe an ebook, maybe a course, maybe something,
Yeah.
and I make 5 million naira. And then I just go on a shopping spree, a spending spree, and I exhaust that money.
Start again.
And then I start from ground zero, from scratch again. What's your counsel to people like that? How do you, when you make money, especially from knowledge products, knowing the kind of industry that you are in, knowing that products can phase out, knowing that market and all of that, all of these things can happen, what's your counsel to creating sustainable wealth and income from your knowledge?
But of course, the thing is that if somebody is doing that kind of a thing, you know already that behavior is warped. We are not against somebody celebrating.
Yeah.
Me, I celebrate too. Like when I've achieved something, I celebrate. But I don't let myself slide into that. That's extravagance, isn't it? I don't allow myself to slide to that point. Like amassing things that have no meaning to me, right? So first and foremost, that's a character flaw that has to be addressed.
Yeah.
Knowing that you keep repeating this cycle. You start it over again, you get broke, start again. I mean, does it make sense? So it's a character flaw that has to be addressed. Second thing is that I think I see that thing amongst mostly freelancers, right? So one of the things I can advise is that start thinking of building a business, because freelancing is different from somebody will say freelancing business. I'm like, what is freelancing business? Except the fact that you have built an agency where you have employed other individuals to do. Like I saw one guy now, he gets other individuals and they're like running ads for company. So everybody is handling one project or the other for different companies. That's no longer a freelance, even though the guy was doing it by himself, but now it's a business.
Yeah.
So building a business makes you think differently. Think in terms of sustainability and the long term. It's a different kind of mindset altogether from, you just doing freelancing. And then thirdly, understanding that as the monies are coming in, you need to be able to invest these monies, right? Find all vehicles of investment that you can invest in. And when I'm talking investment, it's not the kind of things that we call investment in Nigeria. I mean, multiplying money. People go to this ROI. That's not basically. Put your monies into the companies that are in the real estate sector. These companies are hard to die off. They have been there for ages and over the years. Even if they are giving, the more money you put in there, the more money that you can get back. And the beauty of that, even though I'm not going to go into technicality of the whole thing, is the fact that those earnings that you're getting from investments have a way of beating inflation. There are technicalities involved, which I'm not so much of an expert in, even though I've been explaining how it functions. But it beats inflation all the time, right? So take those monies you're making and do your investments. It doesn't stop you from enjoying yourself. It doesn't stop you from buying something that you love to celebrate yourself. But that character flaw is something that has to truly, truly be. And one way to deal with it is maybe to get yourself a personal finance coach or finance mentor, or somebody who is like a what they call it, accountability partner, so to say. But let not your accountability, somebody who also has a flaw. Maybe your wife who really at your face, or your friend or your best friend. You'll be someone who can be very strict, make you to know that you have to be able to utilize this money effectively. So that's what I can share in that regard.
Awesome. So your brand has grown now, obviously, from that person that resigned his job in 2016 to, in fact, what has happened over the years that you grew your page to around 104,000 before it got down now for something thousand followers, and then it got locked. How did you feel in that moment? You come online, you're trying to access your page and you can't find it.
But I felt a lot of emotions at the time. Is it depression? Is it anger? Is it? I felt a lot of emotions
because that page was basically an asset.
It was an asset. Like every day, money was coming in because of that particular page. So a lot of emotions went through me within the period of 2 weeks. At some point, I was indifferent. At some point, I was like, I beg. But after those 2 weeks, I had to sit myself down and said, what's the next step? Next step is, Emeka, you got to open up a new one and change your mode of operation, which is what I'm doing now. Mode of operation is that I'm not building purely on rented land, which we all know what it means. So, I'm still coming up and building, but the approach is different. The approach is to get as many leads, people coming into the system where we can reach them without interferences, right? So, yeah, it was a very painful moment, I can tell you. But I'm still fighting to regain it back, though. But I'm hopeful. I have adamant hope that it comes back. It's been a year. Okay, it's not up to a year. May 2nd, we make it 1 year. But then I have hope that it will be back.
According to House of Assembly people, they say you're suspended for gross misconduct.
I don't know what I did, really. We had gone out to do some videos, for conversations we had done last year, So only for me to get back, brought out my phone to post the video, locked. Or like, okay. Sometimes locking happens. You just tap it. If you were, I was tapping and tapping, nothing was going on. Like, how? So, thought it was a joke. 2 days, 3 days, nothing. 4 days. I just had to accept my fate like that. So, we are building now on a new page. About 48,000 now. So,
nice. So, in entrepreneurship and life, basically, you need to have grit, you need to have resilience and all of that. So it's a lesson in there for all of us.
Yeah, so
when life throws you down,
that's what it is.
You have to stand up again.
Yeah, it was painful. And then I began to be active on platforms I didn't like. now I'm doing videos. Of course, before I used to be writing. Now I'm doing videos, just to be able to be on those platforms. I got on TikTok. I think I became serious on TikTok in January this year.
Are you doing follow my guitar?
Sorry?
Are you doing follow my guitar on TikTok?
No. Isn't it what people when they go live?
Tap, follow my guitar.
I really is. I've already seen those kind of.
I saw an Nollywood legend. They're doing battle on TikTok.
I've not really understood what that is. It a tap and make money or what?
Yes, now so in that live,
okay, live,
right? The people that are joining the live stream are going to be gifting you. They're going to
okay.
I say follow my gift, tap. They'll be gifting you things. They'll be gifting you the crown. They can gift you dragon, and then the TikTok converts
all those things to coins
and money again, and then you can withdraw it.
So that's why they keep going live.
No
one allow keeps trip. Know what that Chris always tells me to go live and be doing it. So I'll be doing all those things. Okay. But I'm understanding the TikTok algorithm now, and yesterday I became 20 something thousand followers.
Yeah, TikTok
between January and now.
Nice, that's impressive.
So building there now, doing videos. It's a work of adaptation. It's something I wasn't used to doing before. I've adapted now. It's a good thing.
Nice. So Knowledge Money University.
Yeah.
Based on all your experience, I lost that. So far, you built this university. What's the university about?
So the university, people have looked at my life and they have seen me transit from face to face. They have seen me do speaking, writing, publishing books, courses. okay, you are making money from all these sources, but is there a linear progression that we can take that can say, I'm going from point A to point B that can give me predictable results and outcomes? So that was why I sat down. I said, okay, making all these things that you're doing, how can someone trace that linear progression to be able to get that particular result? And so for you to be able to do that is to go through specified step-by-step processes. Of course, if you want to do surgery inside of a theater, there's a step-by-step process to follow. Do this, do this, clean up the, apply, what was it called, anesthesia, all those things before the surgery starts so that the surgery can be successful. It's a step-by-step process. So if somebody has to make money, it should not be random, scattered way of approach. So that's why we decided to set up Knowledge Money University, to give step-by-step process, starting from your mind. There's a mindset to have. You'll be shocked why some people are not making money from what they know. You'll be shocked. That's why we attack the mind first. Some individuals feel like they are imposters. Some individuals feel like, this is my brain. Why should I pay money for it? Some individuals feel like as if they are. Lots of things. Down to the point of even visibly. There's a guy I know who's part of a university who said that he knows a lot of things, but his problem is to show his face. And if he hears this guy's voice, very beautiful voice that he has, he says he can't show his face. So we're helping him deal with that. Some of them have trauma from childhood. Some of them have scars, So we take them, we don't just jump in and say, hey, money, money. So we take them mindset to identification, to clarity, to setting up their systems, to exposition, to creating assets that make money for them, to building communities. It's an eight-week process. So this is not for people who are looking for money overnight. There are a lot of young people there. They come into these things and they're like expecting to start making money after 3 days. No. This is 8 weeks. And thankfully, we are attracting the right kinds of individuals who are willing to go through process and discipline. So because after the 8 weeks, you're not just about making money. It's about the fact that you as an individual has been affected by being there for the 8 weeks. Your ability to persevere, your ability to be disciplined, your ability to affect your mind, your ability, a lot of things. But even there, the testimonials that they're giving is not even really about the money they are making. It's about the fact that they have been changed as an individual. Some of them have been changed in the fact that this thing is supposed to be done from the heart. It's not about, yesterday I was arguing with someone online. She said we are manipulators as marketers. So I was able to differentiate for her the difference between manipulation and persuasion. And she got it. And these are some of the things that we do in the Knowledge Money University. Where people see that they feel that these are gimmicks. We don't do gimmicks there. We tell them these are persuasive principles that are not manipulative. So it's about them even changing as individuals, changing what they had known even before they got into university and doing things right. So it's an 8-week program. And once you're done, we're not leaving you. You finish from university, we now put you into a place where we call Knowledge Money Nation. It's a community.
Nice.
And in that community, we keep sharing like almost every day. It's not about me now sharing. It's about even the people in the community now bonding with one another, creating that leverage, creating that bond and sharing their ideas, sharing their thoughts, sharing their own principles, sharing their own stories, sharing their own strategies, what they have done, what they are doing to amplify what they have learned, So is now that community is a lifetime thing. So you're going to be there as long as there's life, in us. Keep building it. So that's what we are doing in the Knowledge Money University. So we're not taking in people who don't know what to do with their lives. Because that's going to cause us issues. So we are saying, are you good at this? This is how you can make money from it.
Yeah.
Is this what your profession is? Is this what your career is? So it's for career people. It's for employees, it's for employers, it's for people who have their businesses, all these categories of individuals. For market people, right? They can come in and within 8 weeks, they can understand how we are focused on knowledge because it's knowledge that is used to build businesses. This cup that is here was produced because of knowledge, knowledge of ceramics, right? So how do you take that knowledge of ceramics that you've got and produce into a product that people can buy and make money for you. That's the fundamental of what we're. So it's about looking at my life and seeing all the things I've done over the years and how I can put a body of knowledge around it that simplifies the processes that people can go through and come out and they can produce products that can make money for them.
Nice. Somebody wants to sign up. How do they sign up?
Simple. So now we have a website. I mean, it's beautiful that we have grown from face to face. So now we have a website, knowledgemoneyuniversity.com. Simple.
No, they want to know university.
Knowledgemoneyuniversity.com. When you go there, all
The information.
free information out there.
Nice.
And then the person can, so there's a place you can pay for Nigerians to pay into Nigerian banks. Now we are going to put Stripe there for those who are not in Nigeria. But for now, we are using Paystack, so people can pay directly by clicking this link there, and they can pay directly Paystack, and then we can see to get their details and onboard them when we start.
Yes.
And those who do bank, once you make the payment there, you see the bank details, and then there's a link to submit. You click it, takes you directly to our WhatsApp. Then you start to chat with the academic director, and then
University.
yeah, and then they onboard you, take your details and all that.
Nice.
So when we put on Stripe there, which is what we are working on right now, people from outside of Nigeria, I mean, the Stripe is universal, so anybody from anywhere can always click and sign up. So knowledgemoneyuniversity.com, get all the details there. Awesome. Sign up.
Awesome. There's one question I've been wanting to ask you, and it's around events. I'm drawing back conversations with Don right now. People say that when Emeka Nobis calls for an event, the event is usually packed full.
Yeah.
How do you market your events such that you're able to call for an event and 2,000 people, 1,000, 5,000 people, your events are always full?
Well, we find that the marketing events take time for me. So when I am done, I learned that from what's his name now? That has a 10x book,
Grant
Cardone. So I learned that he finishes this particular conference, and right there in the conference, he's selling the next conference, and he gets people buying right from that conference for the next conference. Anyway, over there, inflation is not as it is over here, so money can retain the same value between now and next year. So I learned that from him, not in terms of payment, but in terms of the preparation. So he has already started preparing like a year ahead. So that's what we do. So we start right now, Conversations has a page. Everything that is about conversation is going there, and we update the page every day. So it's not the one that you set up a page and it's only when it's time for the next event that people will start seeing the page. No. So there's content on the page every day, priming individuals for the next one. So, and then I utilize committees a lot. Committees of individuals, who are vested with different interests and different responsibilities to make sure that the event is a success. And then I can also say my personal brand. So I built my personal brand over the years that people tend to believe in it and they respond. I can say for that. So, but I think that even though my personal brand pushes a lot of things, I think it's time to build the system and the institution, right? That is not just about Emeka Nobis all the time. It's tough because people want to associate with that particular name. But I think it's something that we have to build so that we can hand it over to individuals who can run without me always being there. And then it can be smooth, right? So that's where we are right now with how we do these events, and people tend to show up.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. This conversation has been full of a lot of insights, and I'm grateful. Thank you for coming. We'd like to draw the curtain here.
Thanks a lot for having me again.
We'll still have you again. There's still a lot more to talk about, but we're usually just time constrained per episode and all of that. So I must thank you very much. Once again, can you tell them to subscribe to the channel?
Yeah, so subscribe to the channel. We are here, the Entrepreneurs Connect. I mean, you got to be able to connect to the channel and follow and listen. I mean, I can tell you for a fact that my life has had changes as a result of listening to people's conversations, right? So the more you listen to people's conversations, the more you tap into their insights and to what they love and how they're getting the results that they're getting. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you tune for every episode, listen to the conversations, and it'll be better for you. So don't miss it. Don't miss the next episode. Don't miss the next episode.
Don't miss it. Don't miss it. All right, guys. I'll see you next episode. Once again, take care of yourself and bye bye. Cheers.